Next, I want to show you some basic edit functions inside the key editor. If you want to improve your workflow and work really effective inside the key editor, you should use shortcuts. I showed a lot of these in my shortcuts videos. There are 5 of these. Check out these videos. Nothing improves working with Cubase than knowing some basic key commands. So now you see I put in some random notes and I want to make sure that these sound good inside my instrument. Well, now I just could go anywhere and take this note and drag it somewhere else and then listen to it and make sure it is inside my key. But I can also ask Cubase to help me with this. Therefore, you have a Scale Assistant. All these notes, if I select these, you can see over here, they're just chromatic. So they don't belong to a certain key now, and probably not all of these will sound very good with my chords. I know I am in, let's say, E major, and some of these notes will fit and others not. To improve my notes without having to do it all by myself, so I have a lot of notes, they are played by an arpeggiator and my track is like 3 minutes long and I don't want to change hundreds of notes with my hand manually. I just select all of these, I go over here and select my scale, E major, and click on Quantize Notes. So what happened now is, you see, all the notes that were chromatic before are now C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E, and so on. They are all inside my key E major. Well, that wasn't perfect. You can see you have to put in some work yourself because otherwise there are too many of the same notes. Well, that could be okay for you. That could be also like a little bit boring if you have always the same notes, because Cubase only knows that this note is not inside your scale and this note is not inside your scale. If you have these 2 notes here, sometimes Cubase does not know if you want it to be here or if you want it to be here. And this note, Cubase does not know, should I change it here or here? So it just puts it somewhere depending on how this algorithm is programmed, and you will end up with a lot of C sharps in a row. So you change some of these and in the end you will have a pretty similar line than before, but all of your notes will be in the right key. You see, if I grab one of these, let's say the G sharp, and I drag it down, it becomes a G, and then it's not in the key of E major anymore. If you work a lot with MIDI and you have a lot of notes that you have to edit, then you can use another function to help you to prevent that your notes land somewhere outside your key. If you tick this box over here and you take this note again and drag it up and down, you see it's not possible anymore for me to put it on the note G. Cubase will skip this note because G is not inside my key. I only have an F sharp and a G sharp, not a G, so I cannot put notes there anymore. Also, it's not possible to put something on the F. I only have E and F sharp in my key. So if I drag this note down, it automatically skips F and jumps to E. So you see, it's only possible for me to put the notes inside my key. The next tab, which is interesting for working with MIDI inside your key editor, is of course the chord editing tab. I already showed most of these functions in other videos. You can find these basic functions there. The next tab is the Quantizing tab. This is very important. If you want to work with MIDI at all, you will need this tab. So I already explained the quantizing and metronome functions of Cubase in another video. Check out this video. You have to know your quantize functions if you're working with MIDI. There's almost no way around it. The next tab is almost similar or close to the Scale Assistant and is for transposing your notes. You can do really easy transpose functions like you select all your notes and you say, I want to have these transposed 1, 2 or 3 or how many you want steps up or down, and you click transpose and you see your notes move up or down this many notes that you put in here. You click transpose and all your notes jump down. This might be exactly what you want, but sometimes it is not enough, because if you transpose things to other keys, then some notes might work and others not. And therefore you have some more functions here that will help you improve the transposing function. One is the scale correcting. So if you played notes that are inside one key, right now we're in the key of E major, and you want to change it to, let's say, B flat. You just select the new scale and click transpose, and it will automatically be transposed in another key. Also, what is really helpful is, so why do I not just select these notes and go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then do it here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because it's annoying and slow and I might make mistakes. I could go one too high or not high enough, or I could move my notes somewhere else by mistake and I don't realize it, and then my track will not sound good anymore. So therefore, if you know I want to change a lot of notes a fifth up, you just select them and click transpose. You select them and click transpose. Select, transpose, select, transpose. And I don't have to be careful to putting my notes somewhere else, too high or too low, or to move them around. With this function, everything will land where it is supposed to be. And one more thing. Right now I am in one key, but if I select all these notes, you see the lowest is a G1 and the highest is a D sharp 4. And this is like almost 4 octaves or 3.5 octaves. And that might be cool, but it also might be way too much. And I want my instrument not to sound this high or that low. I want it to be in one range. And therefore I can tick this box and say, put all my notes in a range that you can define. So you can define your highest note and your lowest note. And this range will be chosen and all your notes will be the same, but not in this octave and not in this octave. It will all get into this one range that you select. And if I now click transpose, you see the notes stayed the same, but they are all within one octave now. One more tab that is really cool is the length tab. The length tab will help you to work on your MIDI note lengths if you have a lot of working to do. If you just want to change one note, you don't need this tab. You just go here and grab it and lengthen it the way you want. But if you have to work a lot with different note lengths, or if you want to do this for several notes, or you want to do it here and then again here and then again here, this tab might help you a lot. So at first, one thing that's really easy to use is the legato slider. You see, if I select one or several notes and drag this slider to the left or right, it will change the length of my notes. And not just in any way, it will use the legato function. So of course, if I go to the negative, they just get shorter, like staccato notes. But if I go to the positive side, they become longer. And not only do they become longer, they become longer relative to their starting point. So you see, I have one note here and there's a long gap to the next one. And here I have a note and there's just a tiny gap to the next one. If I select these and drag my legato slider to 100, you see for this note the length changed a lot until the whole gap is closed. And for this note, the length changed just a tiny bit until this length is closed. So that means with this slider, I can lengthen or shorten my notes relative to the next note. If you know that you want to do this to 100% with all the notes that you selected, you don't have to use the slider, you just use the legato button. If you click it, Cubase will automatically close all the gaps in between the notes, and your notes are now longer and no gaps are in between. So in the beginning it sounded like this. And you see I put in different values because I wanted it this way. I could also change all these notes to staccato values. And they will sound really short. Or I could select all these notes and use the legato function, and now there won't be any gaps. Sometimes we try to record MIDI notes, and let's say I played this part and for some reason, not all the values came as long as I wanted. I played some a little longer and some shorter, and some I played really long. I didn't want that, but I was just really bad at playing, or I didn't pay too much attention. So what you can do is you select all the notes that you want, you select the right quantize setting that you want, and you say fix all my notes to the perfect length. And you see what happened is all my notes are now the same length. Sometimes what happens is that two notes overlap, like these two. So what I wanted was, I wanted to play a quarter note here and a quarter note here. But I didn't let go early enough from the key, or I had a quantize setting on or whatever. And now these two overlap, and not all MIDI instruments are capable to compensate for that. So either this note gets cut or that gets not played. So what you can do is, if you select these, you say delete overlapping notes. And what happened now is, you see this note that overlapped the other was cut. And I don't have two overlapping notes anymore. They are just in the perfect length. The same happened to me over here. So you see, I wanted to play this note and didn't let go of that one. But these are not on the same pitch as these. And for these, I used the overlapping mono function. So it deletes monophonic notes. That means they are on one pitch. But I can't use that for two notes that overlap that have different pitch. So if I click this button, you see nothing happens here. They are still overlapping. If I want this to go away, I have to use the poly, delete overlapping notes poly. And if I do so, you see these two are not overlapping anymore. Sometimes it's okay if these overlap, sometimes you even want it, and sometimes it's annoying, and it is really hard to find out in my project with hundreds of notes which are overlapping and which not, and overlapping can cause problems. So therefore, these two functions, overlapping monophonic or polyphonic, are really good to help you find these notes and also delete all these overlapping functions just with one click. And you're safe. So I hope you did find some helpful information in this video. I will leave some links in the description where you will find some other videos concerning this working with MIDI or the chord function or key shortcuts.